Good afternoon, Jack, and thank you very much for joining me on this fireside chat about a market data governance project that you did for one of our clients. My name is Catherine Ottway. I have been at CJC for 5 years as the commercial management team lead. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name is Jack Woodford. I am the project team lead at CJC. I've been here for 4.5 years. I've been in market data for about 14 years now.
So you recently did a project for one of our clients on their market data compliance and licensing. What challenges had they faced?
So ultimately, the client faced escalating costs, various compliance risks, partly down to a lack of controlled licensing. There's some redundant vendor feeds. They didn't really have an entitlement model, and they didn't have a centralized administration team overseeing everything.
So could you please explain why CJC was engaged in this project?
Because we're a great company. No, we're a vendor neutral company. We've got a team of, I'd say, more than 10 full-time employed market data experts ready to go, as well as we have internal resource at our disposal, whether that be for cloud technology infrastructure, audits and reporting, as you know. So for this client, we were asked to review and hopefully modernize their market data governance, optimize their spend, and make sure they were compliant ultimately.
So how did CJC approach this project?
Okay, so CJC have got a cross-functional team. We've got commercial analysts, licensing specialists, technical experts, governing experts, specialists in audits and so on. We initially conduct a review of the entitlements, the licenses, workflows, their vendor usage, with this fancy tool that we use to map out everything the client has from when the data comes in, to which internal teams it goes to, and if that's fanned out to other departments, we track that as well. We review all of the contracts related to that, the data coming in and being used. We then look at potential solutions, whether that be changing where they source the data or resolving any risks that we might see using some tooling. If not, we might speak to some of the specialists, as I mentioned earlier, with the audits and reporting and cloud and so on. So we've got different options for that. And we also benchmark against other vendors at CJC. So it's quite easy for us to identify some of the opportunities to save costs.
So what role did the stakeholder engagement play in this project?
It's very important, the stakeholder engagement. So having a good stakeholder at the company allows us to engage with the right staff and the right teams without causing too much disruption. You often find that you've got a lot of interaction with front office and the infrastructure teams, procurement, compliance teams and so on, in order to cover all the bases and make sure you see the bigger picture. It's also important to build a good relationship with the team because it makes it much easier to provide feedback at the end.
How can CJC address vendor and feed duplication?
Well, in this instance, we designed an EDM, so an enterprise data management solution. But it may be the case that we can set up a delayed data warehouse if the client's predominantly using delayed data. There's other instances where we can merge data licenses and review who's accessing that data internally. I mean, there's quite a few ways, and that usually becomes clear after doing our initial schematic overview, where we map everything out and see where the data goes. And as mentioned before, using the internal benchmarking is also a big help to us. Helps us make sure that the client's not overpaying and they're using the right product.
After you've done all that hard work of finding out the gaps, what can CJC do to plug those procurement and governance gaps?
So I think this is where CJC really comes into its own. Some of the staff within commercial management have been working in market data for over 20 years, so they've got quite a bit of knowledge built up. We've got access to so many tools. It's just a case of applying the right tool to the right job. In this instance, we introduced a digital contract database with contract alerts, so the client can see when the contract's up for renewal or the date that they need to put through the cancellations, any price changes throughout the year and so on. We also, in this instance, set up a centralized procurement team with added workflows to monitor license allocations and ensure they're aligned across all of their entities. But we do also have other products and tooling, so the DN Hub or Data Notification Hub, So clients can check their DAX, EMRS and proprietary trading system usage against the latest quarterly and weekly and daily reports, and it'll identify any users who are affected by those changes so they can make the changes internally. We do also have a Toodle, a great name, but that helps the procurement teams capture all of the internal application usage, the exchanges that they're using within those applications, and then it also tells them which exchange licensing they're required based on that use case. And then finally we have DRDM, so which is a digital rights system. So it allows clients to receive a digitized version of their contract. It allows it to connect to their permissioning systems like DAX and EMRS and so on, and it allows them to track the flow of the usage internally and externally and cross-check it against their licenses. And it also captures the usage and allows them to report back to the exchanges as well. So we've got all of those tools that we can use. It's just knowing which one to use at which time.
And we use those internally, but we can also do demos if anyone's interested, can't we?
We do. So we do use it at the moment for our clients. We have a managed service for, but yes, we can demo all of those 3 products out to everyone else.
Fantastic. So ultimately, what were the outcomes that we were able to achieve for the client?
Well, apart from the 1.8 million annualised savings, the client's now audit ready. We've reviewed the licensing compliance to ensure all is well there. We've revamped the procurement team completely to give them some structure, make it easier for them to capture internal usage and simplify their reporting requirements.
No small feat.
No.
Why would this case be interesting for other financial institutions?
So I think it highlights the importance of moving from reactive to strategic market data management. Companies can reduce costs, they can strengthen their compliance, and they can scale effectively, all whilst making sure that they're in a regulated environment. If they'd like some help with that, just give us a call.
Perfect. So thank you very much for your time today, Jack. That was really interesting. I know it's a really big project, and an interesting one, really fascinating. You've worked with us for a couple of years now. Why do you like working with us here at CJC?
So yes, I've been here 4.5 years. Prior to that, I was at a Tier 1 bank, did some work at some exchanges. CJC are a good company. They look after their staff. Everyone's very friendly, and I like the way that the staff work together to get things resolved for the client. So for any managed services that we have and that we currently have, if someone's working on that managed service for the client and they don't know the answer to something, they've got an abundance of resource to get that information from. So it's all about working together, and I think it works really well at CJC.
Fantastic, thank you.